You can create some interesting effects with your text as you're placing them here in Photoshop. You can warp them or shape them. You can turn them into a clip or add effects, and you can also rasterize them for some extra effects in the Photoshop environment. So let's explore what we can do here. We're going to start with some text warping, and I've got a text layer here that's selected, and I'm going to change to my type tool, and I have an option on my options bar here to warp that text. I click on it, and there's several different styles that we could use. We could arc it, and I'm going to move my mouse just a little bit below the text, and it gets into a move tool so I can move that and position it. I could use some other options. Here's an arch, bulge, that's a kind of a spherical look to it. Options like flag or wave or fish. Here's one called fisheye. Has an interesting, also looks like spherical, almost like on a mug handle, right? And you could squeeze it or twist it. You can go back to none. Let's go to this one called fisheye. And as you're working on this, you can actually change some of the settings down below depending on what you chose. So that's inverse or a lot higher. And I could even change some of the settings. It looks like it puts it on a bit of a twist. If I went too much, I can always hold down Alt and instead of cancel, just reset. Go back here to fisheye, and all those settings are back to the default. I think I liked it with just a little extra curve. Click on OK, and now it's set, and I can get my move tool and position it where I want it to be. Now you can also stretch this out using the transform command or the free transform, which allows you to resize this, and I could just stretch it out tall, or I could even resize it with the shift key and keep it proportional, but I'll just kind of stretch it the way I like it, position it. I could even rotate a little bit if I wanted to. I think I like it better, so I'll just straight. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove that rotation, press enter or commit, and there it is. To create an interesting effect, we're going to make a duplicate of the picture that's right below it, position it, so sandwich them in between, and you can't even see the text anymore, but we're going to use that to our favor. We're going to go ahead and create a clipping mask, and now those pixels are clipped in with that clipping mask. And I'm just going to go ahead and add an effect in here, the bevel and emboss effect. And you can start seeing that interesting text showing up through it. And I can just make some changes based on the effect that I'm trying to go for. And again, because this is still text, I can always go back into my type tool and I can position my text and start adding new elements to it. I can also edit it again with my free transform. Looks like I might need to do a control minus here just to get those see those bounding box handles. There we go. So you have some nice ability to change it, and of course I can even move it around. It's just changing where that shape lays on the page. Well, another thing that you may want to do is you might bring in some text that wasn't actually created in Photoshop at all. It might have been a logo or some text that was created, let's say, in Illustrator. I'm going to go ahead and place some Illustrator text, and here's a logo that was for us. It was basically text plus some extra shapes built in Illustrator. And it comes in as a smart object that I can then position and size. And I can scale it any way I want because in Illustrator it's actually vector based. I'll go ahead and press enter and position that. I'm going to change the order. I've actually brought in some balloons already, and I'll just make that a clipping path. And one nice thing is I don't even have to convert this logo into something different. I can keep it in that same smart object and still take advantage of it as it's set. And I can kind of position it. Oh, it depends on what layer I'm on, whether I'm moving the balloons or I'm moving that text logo in there, positioning it. And I could also just as easily go ahead and free transform rotate it a little bit or resize it as I see fit. There. That's a fun look. Let's go ahead and press enter to commit that in place. Now you may need to take some of your text and work in a raster format. So for example, you can actually create text as selections. They really aren't text at all. They're going to be selections that look like text. So I'm using one of these dotted lines. And I'll go ahead and click. And I want to make sure that I have my format set up. Looks like I got some type of alignment on there, center alignment. That's okay. I can position it. Whoops. I can position it how I want to. But the trick here is that as soon as I change my tool, it's no longer text. I'm going to have to use my move tool. And if I use my move tool, I'm actually moving the pixels. If I use my selection tool, and I very carefully, let's see if I can get right on there, I can actually move the selection around without moving those pixels. But again, what I have is something that isn't text at all, but rather a raster image that I could use for painting purposes or for erasing or for what have you. I'm actually going to go ahead and deselect that. Now, you may have some text, like we have this world class, that you want to convert into a style. And you can easily just select the layer, doesn't really matter what tool you're on, and you can pick one of these styles in here to change it. There's even some styles that are meant for text. You can create some very interesting effects in there. Maybe go a little bit overboard, but get out of your system while you can. So that looks good. But I want you to know that sometimes you're going to have to convert your text into a raster image. And if I, for example, try to go to filter, I'm noticing that I just can't do all the things that I want to do with it as a Photoshop image because it's still considered text and it's still being treated differently. I'm going to click on OK. Cancel that out. Let's go here to Type menu. And for the Type menu, we can rasterize the type layer. It's no longer type, so I'm no longer able to edit it as text. It still has the different effects on there, which I can turn on and off, but it's considered a raster image so that if I end up trying to go into my filters and use one of these interesting filter options, whatever it is I might want to do, I can still apply that effect now because it's been rasterized. And another quick note about rasterizing text is that depending on the format where you're going to be taking it out to, let's say you're going to be pulling it into a JPEG or you're going to take it a GIF, especially something for a web, those text is actually going to get rasterized when you use it in Photoshop. So it's going to convert it into something that is actually pixel-based as opposed to a vector shape as if you're creating those texts, let's say in Illustrator. So for that reason, when you're building your text, I'm going to go back to where I actually have some text left. I have that here in my Paris. Keep in mind that the anti-alias is set for you automatically, and that helps when you're converting text into a raster-based image. That sharp is going to be, I like that one, it's just going to make it a nice clean transition from something that's vector-based to something that's pixel-based and it's bitmapped. Okay, so now it's time for a pop quiz. Which of the following is a warp text style? A, arc, B, bulge, C, fisheye, D, all of the above. The answer is D, all of the above. Well, now you can take your text that you are creating in Photoshop and really enhance it and take advantage of some of those Photoshop tools to make it more artistic and make it more part of your design.